Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to be going over and showing you how to install the CURT Trailer Hitch Receiver here on our 2014 Mazda CX-5. So this is what our trailer hitch is going to look like installed on our CX-5 here. It has a hidden design, meaning the cross tube is tucked way back behind the bumper here. And the rest of the components we can see are going to have a nice black glossy powder coated finish that's going to help it blend in well and also help protect it from rust and corrosion. So adding a trailer hitch to your CX-5 here, it's going to be an excellent option because it's going to make your vehicle that much more versatile. Now we can obviously use a trailer hitch for towing, but if we wanted to hit some trails or free up some space inside the vehicle for the family on those long road trips, we could easily attach either a hitch mounted bike rack or a hitch mounted cargo carrier. So in regards to towing, our trailer hitch here is going to provide us with a 4,000 pound gross trailer weight rating. That's the amount we can pull outward. And it also has a 600 pound tongue weight rating. That's going to be the downward force on the receiver tube. Now keep in mind, these capacities are for the hitch only, which is tested separately of the vehicle. Therefore, we need to verify the vehicle's towing capacity in your owner's manual and abide by the lower of the two rated components, whether that's the hitch or the vehicle. So our trailer hitch here also has a 2" by 2" receiver tube opening, and this larger size is going to be great because it's going to give us a much greater selection of those hitch mounted accessories to choose from, such as the bike racks and cargo carriers. We have a great selection here at eTrailer as well you may want to check out. So if we take a closer look at the side of the receiver tube, we're going to have the standard 5/8" diameter hitch pin hole. That's going to work with your standard 5/8" diameter hitch pin and clip. Keep in mind, the hitch pin and clip are actually sold separately. Most of your ball mounts, bike racks, and cargo carriers, however, are going to come with their own. And then on the bottom of the receiver tube, we have our safety chain loops. Those work great with both the larger clevis style as well as the smaller S-type hooks. Now we got a couple measurements for you guys here. The first one is the distance from the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube. That's going to be about 13¼ inches, and that'll be useful when you're selecting a ball mount so you can make sure you get the correct rise and drop to tow your trailer level. And then we have the distance from the center of the hitch pin hole to the outside edge of the bumper. That's going to be about 3½ inches, and that measurement there will be useful when you're selecting your folding accessories such as a bike rack or cargo carrier. That way you can make sure that while they're in the stowed position that they don't hit the bumper and damage the vehicle. So in regards to installation, this is definitely something you guys can do at home by yourselves. We don't have to make any modifications to the vehicle. There's no cutting or drilling. We don't have to have a lot of mechanical knowledge, and most basic hand tool sets will allow you to get this job done. There is one thing that you're going to need you may not have, and that's a torque wrench. But we have some cost-effective options here at eTrailer, or in most cases you can rent these for free from most local auto parts stores. Now let's go ahead and walk you through this entire process step by step to give you guys the confidence to do it at home by yourselves. So the first step of our install, we need to come to the center of the fascia at the bottom here. You're going to see we have this little trim piece that's held in place with a push pin fastener on either side. We need to go ahead and remove this. So if you just pry out the center section of that fastener, you should be able to remove the rest of it. And then it looks like there's a couple just little tabs holding this the rest of the way in place. Now we can remove this and set it aside. Next, we need to lower our exhaust. So the first thing we need to do is provide some support. If you're working on the ground, just use a couple blocks of woods or a jack stand. If you're in the air, you're going to use a cam buckle strap like what we have here. Just pull that tight to the bottom of the exhaust. Now we have 4 rubber isolators we need to spray down with a lubricant to aid with removal. So we got 2 in the back here and then 2 closer to the front. And once we get those all nice and lubed up, we're going to take an exhaust hanger removal tool or just simply a pry bar and remove the metal hanger from the rubber isolator like so. So that's one down. Now we have 3 more to go. So now we have a couple more push pin fasteners. They're going to be the bottom ones of the fascia, attaching it to the metal tabs there behind that. So we got 2 of these, 1 on each side. We need to remove them both. So now we need to come to the outside of either side of the frame here. Now, first things first is we have this wiring harness attached to the frame. We need to remove that. So I'm going to take a pair of trim panel tools, and I'm just going to pry out that fastener there, just like so. Now, once we have that out of the way, we're going to turn our attention to the 2 holes on the side of the frame. They're actually covered with tape. We have one closer to the bumper flange and then one up here closer towards the front of the vehicle. So we're going to take a utility knife. We're going to try best we can to remove that tape there. Now the next thing we need to do is we're going to be taking the 4 flat washers that come in our kit here, coming over to our trailer hitch, and on the inside of the flange, we're going to be taping that washer into position over the 4 respective holes. So we need to do that now with all 4 of our flat washers. So now it's time to get our hardware into the frame here. So for the hole closest to the bumper beam here, we're going to be taking one of our pull wires here. I'm going to stick the coiled end through that hole on the outside of the frame that we removed the tape from. And then I'm going to fascia out the large access hole sort of directly underneath that. I'm going to place on a spacer block. And then I'm going to thread on a carriage bolt. Then I'm going to go ahead and shove that hardware up into the frame there. We're going to leave it sort of in there like now until we get the hitch up into position. We need to do that on the other side as well. Now we have another hole here just directly back from there. If you remember, we removed the tape from that one as well. So you're going to need to repeat that same process if this hole doesn't have a weld nut in it. But if it does have a weld nut like ours does, you can pretty easily feel in there that it just doesn't go all the way through the frame. We're going to be using a hex bolt and a conical tooth washer on that rear hole there when we lift the hitch up, or the one closest to the front of the vehicle, whichever one you want to call it. Now with an extra set of hands, we can raise our hitch up into position. We're going to start by taking the pull wire and feeding it through the inside of the flange here on our trailer hitch. So now that we have the carriage bolts pulled through the frame there, we're going to go ahead and thread on one of our flange nuts. And then in the one closest to the vehicle, we're going to be placing our hex nut and our hex bolt and conical tooth washer. And then we'll go ahead and tighten and torque these down using a 19mm socket for the hex bolt and a 3/4 inch socket for the carriage bolt. And now, don't forget to raise your exhaust back up into position. And that's going to do it today for our look and installation of the CURT Trailer Hitch Receiver here on our 2014 Mazda CX-5.